It seems that the president's use of the National Guard as he's federalizing them is somewhat novel. It's the first time since 1965 a president has activated a state's National Guard without a request from the governor. That's according to the Brennan Center for Justice. What concerns do you have about going in this direction? It's about 60 days that have been authorized in the proclamation he signed last night.
My concern, of course, is that this inflames the situation and that he is hell-bent on inflaming the situations. Individual governors look at their states and make decisions, but in this case, the president time and time again has shown this willingness to one, violate the laws we've seen across the country in many different situations outside of the immigration context, and two, inflame situations. So what do I think he should be doing right now? Who do I think he should be bringing in? I think he should be bringing in economists to talk to him right now about what's happening with the debt and with his big, beautiful betrayal of the middle class, to be talking to him about what's going on with the tariffs and how they are hurting small businesses. I think he should be bringing in the people that I talk to every day, regular people, farmers whose markets are drying up, people who are worried about their moms or their grandmas getting kicked out of their assisted living because of his Medicaid cuts. When Josh Hawley calls this morally bereft, that it's immoral to make these Medicaid cuts, and when Elon Musk comes in and says that this is a disgusting abomination, this bill, and when it is now triggering, get this, Medicare cuts, something that hasn't been discussed yet, because it adds so much to the deficit that rural hospitals are going to get cut. I think that's who he should be listening to right now, instead of his constant effort for shock and awe and trying to distract people what they care about most, which is the economy and their family situation.
We're going to talk about some of those very issues with Kevin Hassett, one of the president's top economic advisors, shortly, including that idea of Medicare being touched, which is being floated, but we haven't heard from the administration on in detail. But the president's putting immigration front and center here. We see in our polling that, at least before what happened in LA, that this was broadly supported. 54% of Americans like his deportation policies. I'm wondering how much you worry that this puts Democrats on the back foot, that you are put in the position of defending someone like Abrego Garcia, who was just brought back to the United States from El Salvador and is now being charged by the Justice Department on these claims that he was involved somehow in human trafficking. This is that Maryland man who was, according to the Justice Department, wrongly sent to a prison in El Salvador on suspicion of being a member of a gang, which his family denied.
So Democrats believe in public safety. As a former prosecutor, it's been a lot of my life working with law enforcement. And that means you don't inflame things and make it worse. And that is that you make sure that violent criminals aren't in our midst. But even when you look at your own poll that just came out this morning, a strong majority of people believe that people should at least follow the rule of law and have due process so people aren't mistakenly deported. When I look at the Abrego Garcia case, I see two things. The first is that you have to follow the law. The second is the charges will be dealt with in the justice system. That's how this works. And of course, they should have done that at the get-go and not wrongfully deported him and handled the charges in our country. But in the end, to me, this is about the rule of law and enforcing the laws. And again, when I look at your polling, 70% of the people said that while a number of them will support deporting violent criminals, I support that, okay? Right. But 70% of them said that these policies either don't help with the economy or they weaken the economy. They are not there. They want this president. They voted for him, a bunch of them in the middle, who in my state also voted for me. They want him to bring down costs. They don't want him to be kicking old people out of assisted living or cut the food assistance for veterans. They want them to be working on things that help them in their daily lives. That's what also comes out in your polling numbers.
Yep. As you know, Republicans say they're not cutting Medicaid.